How many minutes does it take them to get them out? My goodness.
Balloons you see there, and what they're for is if there were large waves, tipped it over sideways, or it's actually stable upside down in the water. And, it could have bounced and landed that way. And so now it can't tip over, and so it may be that they're able to unstrap and kind of relax their limbs a little bit. But they're feeling gravity for the first time in 10 days. They're bobbing around in the ocean. It's very obvious they're on planet
Bobbing
Earth.
around the ocean after being around the moon, eh?
And there's people, somebody other than each other for the first time in 10 days.
Yeah, it is interesting, and yet time is moving very slowly for us. Very anxious to see them, right?
Yes.
In that capsule, is time moving quickly?
No, they're ready for that to be open. They're ready to get out, and now that they've gone through all that, and you get pretty darn focused and keyed up in your brain as it's working at 112% as you go through all the events of entry, and now they can relax. I mean, really, their job is just about done.
The hatch is opening, yes or no? Is it opening? Let's see.
An audio loop here on the ship.
All right, looks like it's open. Side hatch is open, everybody.
You're getting these beautiful shots of our aerial assets. The ship itself, Marge, just 3,000 yards away. And plenty of people on the boat here.
I mentioned you'd be more seasick than space sick, bobbing around for all this time. Yeah, if they're nauseous, it's from being so long on waiting for them to get there.
Again, side there.
I mean, they're going to put them on such a tiny boat. They got to find a bigger boat.
So before they come out, somebody goes in.
Yes.
Wow, four of the medics will go in.
Personnel, each astronaut assessing them.
After all that training of the Navy personnel, think how exciting it is for them to actually do this and to be the first to shake the hands of the crew.
First human hands like that, touching that spacecraft after it's been surrounded by plasma.
Tells you we're all humanity. We're all brothers and sisters on this tiny little blob in the universe called planet Earth or Mother Earth. Remember, He created heaven and earth. God is amazing.
Check on each of the astronauts. These other boats will begin doing a number of things. Putting on that stabilization collar.
Positivity of what man can accomplish. Man, meaning men and women. Mankind. Homo sapiens have been around the earth and come back April 10th, 2026. So they're opening up the hatch. If you're at work, you can sneak this below the desk. This is live right now. Traveling Large with Marge is watching. The Artemis 2 has splashed down. Everybody's okay. And we've got finally the Navy coming in to take them out of the module.
Of course, allowed the recovery personnel to approach the vehicle and then open the hatch to begin the initial medical assessment of the crew, as you just indicated. Now we're standing by for the erection of that inflatable raft, the front porch alongside of the vehicle that will enable the crew to be extracted one by one onto the raft. A moment or two to get their land legs back before they're hoisted into two hovering Navy helicopters.
Imagine that. from the moon. Now you have to face a helicopter ride to be hoisted up, like up the gravity. Still, it takes a special kind of person to be an astronaut. Not everybody can do it. What do y'all think? Isn't it amazing?
Entry into the Earth's atmosphere and all of the key milestones that followed in this high-speed return to Earth for integrity. A mission that spanned more than 694,000 miles from the vehicle's launch from the Kennedy Space Center atop the Space Launch System.
All right. Why did they go to commercial? No, don't go to commercial. That's right. Any second.
From their spacecraft that splashed down in the Pacific Ocean just a little while ago. Let's listen into NASA television as they get a little bit closer to the capsule, and there are specialists on board now.
The hatch has been opened. Amazing view of Artemis 2 splashing down near San Diego, California.
Coming down from the NASA mission control right now, but what you're seeing is service members from the Navy and specialists that are circling around the Artemis 2 Orion capsule that is now in the Pacific Ocean after making an entry. That entry started in Earth's atmosphere somewhere above India and made its way all the way across the Pacific Ocean, coming down.
As we mentioned,
beautifully deployed parachutes land in the Pacific Ocean now.
that
All systems inside have been powered down.
down in the Pacific with Apollo 17 back on December 19th, 1972. So for the first time in 53 and a half years, we have reenacted that with the arrival of Integrity's astronauts as they flew around the moon in that historic lunar flyby. It began with a trans-lunar injection burn, took them out of Earth orbit following 24 hours of a high Earth orbit trajectory. The high Earth orbit trajectory enabled flight controllers here to have a full 24 hours to evaluate the systems on Integrity and the condition of the crew before they would commit to flying to the moon.
And it appears as though, as we're watching these live images, they are unfurling what I believe is going to be something called the front porch to allow those astronauts to come out to a platform and then be hoisted up into some awaiting Seahawk helicopters. If we have Tom Costello, Tom, what we're seeing being put into the water right now, is that to stabilize the capsule, or is that part of the inflatable front porch?
I don't know the answer to that, Gotti, but I'm looking at the same thing, and I'm noticing you've got divers in the water as well as what looks like a very long inflatable tube. So I think that may be the collar. It looks like they're swimming it over to the ship. If I had to guess, and I only say that based on having read and watched all of the exercises over the last few weeks. I had a quick question for Steve, though. I mean, these astronauts have been locked shoulder to shoulder for 10 days, unable to shower, no real privacy when it comes to using the facilities, of course. And I'm just wondering what they must feel like. Are they all just desperate to breathe fresh air, to take a shower, to get brush their teeth? I'm wondering, what is it like to be locked in shoulder to shoulder with they may be your best friends, but after 10 days you're like, okay, enough already. I'm wondering, Steve's kind of lived through that. Steve, what's it like?
Well, they're either more of your best friends or you just can't wait to get away from one. No, generally, this is what you sign up for, and these folks have been in astronaut training a long time. They've been in the military for the most part. Before that, they've got 3 out of the 4 of them have experience in space already. This is part of what you sign up for, and to tell you the truth, it kind of sounds bad when you describe it that way, but it's part of the adventure. It's part of the part of the mission, part of the thing that you share together is these close quarters, pretty austere conditions. And the people who do well in the astronaut business are the people who think that's fun.
But you know, the other thing, Steve, that strikes me, having interviewed so many of you astronauts over the last 22 years with NBC News, is how all of you seem so mild-mannered. That's not to say that you don't know how to put the metal down when it needs to be put down, but you are all thoughtful and I don't think I've ever met one who came off as ill-tempered. Everybody seems to be awfully balanced and easygoing.
That's because we're trained in Tom Costello classes to act like that around here.
I'm not sure which class that is, Steve, but by the way, they should mention can we mention Steve, this Professor Steve Robinson at UC Davis. I've often said I should be taking his classes because he's very good at explaining detailed physics to a layman. Spacecraft. What do you
Get an update on what's about to be inflated here.
My colleague Megan Cruz inducted on the USS John P. Mercer with Navy diver First Class David McMahon explains how this process is unfolding.
Okay, Davey, so you and some of your team, one last look over of the stabilization card, right? Okay, so what is this stabilization card?
Yeah, it's gonna be a while before they take them out. So see you till then. Ciao. Well, maybe not. There's two of you watching, so we'll keep on watching. Artemis 2 has splashed down near San Diego, California. They're being retrieved, then by helicopter, then to San Diego, and then by plane to Houston in full on Earth gravity.
Gives us to go out and secure in space. We'll inflate it, and once that is done, we'll undo the carabiners and get the orange line on top, all in the same fashion. So we secured in the capsule, we actually have to safely take the first steps out of the capsule to the front first.
How long will it take them to set up the stabilization?
To definitely be able to make those utilities.
And then you just mentioned the front porch. So basically, after they set up the stabilization collar, then they set up what's called the front porch here.
That's great.
Okay, and what's the front porch?
Front porch is basically a bigger waiting room for the astronauts to sit in while we wait for the seat.
So the medical team that was inside with the crew, they're going to help them out and onto the front porch.
That is correct.
Then what happens here?
We have highly trained medical personnel also on board the front porch that will give them look overs to make sure they're okay while we wait for the helicopters to show up.
How does it feel? I mean, your team, you to be part of a mission of returning astronauts from the moon in more than 50 years.
We all feel extremely honored to be a part of this, but bigger mission for the Navy and being up for this things.
And do you feel like you and your team are ready?
Yes.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so it'll be a while. We'll be back when they finally do this front punch inflatable thingamajiggy. They're still not there. So thanks for watching. Hit subscribe. Bye. Travel large as going to the moon and back. At this time, you can only see. Maybe one day we'll go there. Ciao, ciao.